Hi there, this is Sanjuro from Sanjuro Films, and welcome to a new film of the year. I'm trying to compose myself because I've just watched it. This is a film from 2023. I can't believe I'm saying this. But it has now become my film of the year, beating out The Night Porter. I haven't actually cried this much since watching a film called Still Life by Umberto Pasolini, which again will only speak in that way to a certain amount of viewers. And my new film of the year, A Samurai in Time, will only speak to a certain amount of viewers, enough to make them cry like small children. Now it's kind of billed as a comedy, but I would say some of the comedy doesn't actually land. I wouldn't really call it a comedy. It has comedic moments, but maybe I couldn't actually see the comedy because I was going through so many tissues. It's a really simple story. Yamaguchi Makiaya plays a samurai in the Edo period, and it's that period when clans were wanting to back the shogun as a new era was beginning. And obviously other clans wanted to stay in the traditional shogunate. And he is involved in a fight in the rain with an opposing samurai. Lightning strikes and he wakes up and he's in modern day Japan, in Kyoto, in the studio where they make samurai films, Jadai films, and there's not as much of him wandering about in a modern world. I mean, he does see cars and trains, but that's not television, but that's not really what the film's about. The film is a love letter to Jaidekis. It's a love letter to the actors who are in the background of all these films. The film is dedicated to Fukumoto Seizo, who appeared in 85 films, lots of television. You probably recognise him if you've seen enough of these films. Allegedly died 50,000 times on screen, and he was actually meant to be in the film as the sword fighting teacher on set, but unfortunately he died of cancer in 2021. The film is directed, edited, shot by and written by Yasuda Junichi, who has made a couple other films, one called Gohan, which is about rice cultivation and its place in cinema as well, and another film called The Gun and Fried Egg. Now this was only made for $170,000 and made about $7 million. It was a huge hit, won lots of awards. So I went into it with very low, not very low expectations, but low expectations. But it hit me like a ton of feathers or a ton of bricks. They're still both a ton. yes, at no point does he go down streets with lightning coming out of his swords. Yeah, this should actually have a warning that it will make certain people weep like small children. I mean, I think, the emotion, all films hit people differently. There's people that can find a film really emotional because of their life experience, and other people just don't really get it at all. I got this totally. This hit me in my core. I don't know whether I was born in Japan in a previous life, but I do want to go to Japan to die. Obviously, because I don't really leave the house that much apart from going to work. Maybe one day I'll get to Japan, but I would kind of forget to come back. I want to visit Kurosawa's grave. I want to visit the shrine to the 40 Ronin. But even when I look at a brochure of Japanese touring holidays or whatever, I tend to get quite emotional about it, and I don't know why. And this film just got me. When I think of what Japanese films have meant to my life, I don't have a life full of joy and happiness, but Japanese cinema, Chanbara films, samurai films, Jaideki, has brought me lots of joy, and that kind of came through in the film, and you can tell this is a kind of personal project to this guy, to the director as well. I'm not going to go into the way the plot develops as he kind of learns how to, die properly. He becomes one of the guys that gets slashed by swords and dies by the hero's hand. The film also stars Rantaro Maine, who was in lots of Fukasaku films, including like The Legend of the Eight Samurai, which is very good. That's released by Eureka. He's in lots of Battles, Honor and Humanity, and again he plays the character that Seizu Fukumoto would have played. It's a brilliant performance by Mayake Yamaguchi, who is, I think, younger than he looks in the film. There's also a wonderful performance by the female actor who plays Yuko, who's the assistant AD, who has dreams of being a director one day. Near the end of the film, there's like the dream project that the guy gets involved with, but again, I'm not going to talk about how that comes about. And there's a brilliant speech about how the Jaideki and the samurai film has kind of died out. Obviously Japanese cinema, like all the other cinema industries, kind of have peaks and valleys. And there was time where obviously samurai films were on TV and in the cinema all the time, and then they fell out of favour. So very much like how at the start of the film we're kind of at the end of an era in Japanese history when the samurai is transported to the future. It's almost the end of an era for the samurai film or samurai television. But it's just, again, if you think about, some of you might not like samurai films or whatever, and again, the film, there's plenty of like 3-star reviews of it, saying it's fine and it's good, which is fair enough. But again, this just hit me differently. He moves in with an older couple who live near the studio in Kyoto, and it's just full of characters you actually care about. There's no good guys and bad guys. And again, when you think this was made for 170 grand, you do wonder why Hollywood specifically struggle to make decent films with decent characters. I mean, they can't even make it with like a $200 million budget, let alone 170,000. Again, personally, I think because it doesn't have that much of a score, probably because that would have cost more money, the emotional moments aren't, backed by the soaring music. Obviously, there's moments that I found emotional that probably other people wouldn't. But again, you're thinking about your own experiences and what Japanese cinema certainly has meant to me. And again, people knock Kurosawa for being kind of the most Western director, but Kurosawa, for me and like many others, was the gateway drug to the amazing world of Japanese cinema. And certainly when I die, hopefully in Japan, Japanese cinema is one of the things that I will really miss. And again, Yakuza films and samurai films, you could argue, kind of follow the same kind of patterns. But there's just something about that code, and we've all seen Harakiri and Kobayashi and others undermining that code, which it deserves, because sometimes the samurai code is a little bit twisted at times. But there's just something about that way of life that's always struck a chord with me. Again, I was never a maid to King Henry VIII in a previous life. I think I was in Japanese in a previous life. Maybe in the Edo period. Who knows? But this is my film of the year. Again, for me. Again, it probably won't be film of the year for many people. But if you love Japanese cinema, if you love the period film, the samurai film, the chanbara, the jaideki, this should hit you in places that you didn't realise you actually had. And it certainly does that. There's a couple of scenes, again, there's not a lot of music in the film, there's a couple of scenes where it's literally just the clink of blade, which is quite moving. And there's a couple of scenes just with music over it, with no live sound, which again are quite powerful. But it's a brilliant central performance. Again, there's less of the fish out of water that we see in time travel films, which again, this isn't about the stranger in a strange land story as much. He does land in a studio making period pictures, so it's not as fish out of water as it could have been, and thank goodness for that. It's 131 minutes, and again, apart from some of the comedy not really landing for me, at least because I was too busy weeping, the length with these characters, I could have stayed with them for a couple of centuries. They're just good people trying to bring back the jaideki. Sorry, I'm trying not to get emotional. I don't want to cry on camera. I haven't been squirting lemon juice in my eyes, honest. Yeah, it's just absolutely marvellous, but I perfectly understand if you go, yeah, it's a 3-star film, it's fine. No, this is my film of the year. It might be the greatest film of the 21st century. As far as it's speaking to me on a cellular level, it's just absolutely beautiful, an amazing achievement by the filmmaker who, as I said, he edited it, he wrote it, he shot it, he produced it and directed it. It's just a wonderful, wonderful film. The special features, there's a interview with the director Junichi Yasuda, deleted scenes, a teaser trailer, and Yamaguchi Makaya and Sakura Yuno, who plays Yuko, the AD, behind the scenes in a talk show. I mean, to me, this is the kind of thing that should be in Criterion. Again, it's just the first time watching. Again, I had to put windshield wipers on my glasses. Who knows what I'll think of it when I rewatch it, but certainly, as of right now, this second, this is my film of the year. Sorry, Charlotte Rampling and Dirk Bogarde. Maybe if I was a Nazi, the Night Porter would speak to me in the same personal, cellular level that A Samurai in Time did. But until that time, A Samurai in Time is my new film of the year. So thanks very much for watching. I made it through without squirting tears. So thanks very much for watching. This is Solitary Ronin from Solitary Ronin Films, shaken to my very core, saying farewell.